Welcome back to Lantern Insights. I've been away for a little bit, but have been getting back playing a bit more games recently and thought I'd share some of the more interesting ones with you guys. So we expect videos again back to regular scheduling after the break. Here I've been playing the mono blue version a lot. I actually think it's a pretty good option given the current state of the metagame. No Violent Outburst anymore. So the counterspells are a lot better against cascade strategies, which this deck plays. I think this deck is good. We're playing against Mill today. I think it has a good Mill matchup. I think there's a lot of things going for the blue version. We open up a pretty good hand here. 4 lands, but one of them Saga, which can find the other half of the Lantern Lock. And then we'll just use Bauble and Shredder early to hopefully filter our draws a bit, and they lead on basic island go. Pretty much, there's still a lot of decks with basic island. Definitely not super common. Here, I forgot to mill the Shadow Spear. I should have in the blind, but it doesn't end up being the worst thing in the world. And so we're just gonna run out the Saga here. If it's mono blue, may mean that they're more counterspell based deck, and so interacting on the battlefield is more relevant. Now they do play a Field of Ruin here, which is likely mill. However, we are going to be able to get one construct out beforehand. We do draw the Ensnaring Bridge, and now this one was intentional. I did want to draw it because I don't know for sure that it's mill. It's likely, but all I've seen is Island and Field of Ruin, and so having the bridge just there is nice to have, I think. And again, they basically take turns 1 and 2 off, so obviously a bit of a weirder draw. Importantly, we haven't searched our library yet for anything, which if they are mill could be pretty relevant. And then I do think they make a bit of a mistake here where they don't blow up the Urza Saga before we get the second construct, which I think they should have. I don't know exactly what their hand was like, so it's possible that letting it go through was just fine. But here, we're just going to swing with constructs, and to be honest, we don't even really care about many. We see this is kind of the final, okay, we know it's mill, they're playing Fractured Sanity, but they're going to play a Fatal Push, which we're just going to counter, and I guess they didn't have any the archive traps to mill us or anything, but we still have 47 cards left by turn 4. I don't know what their hand looked like. I guess maybe they were relying on some surgery. I don't know. No crabs, nothing. Seems like a weird hand they keep, but Lantern is very good at punishing draws like that. And they're gonna fetch it, and they're just dead. Game 1, I think they concede here pretty quick. We're just gonna swing with constructs, and we get game 1 obviously just punishing a fairly slow hand from them. I guess they kept Fatal Push early. But they didn't play the land for the Fatal Push for an extra turn. I don't know what that hand was, but hopefully game 2 they keep something better. And importantly, we do have Emrakul in the sideboard. So with that in mind, it kind of really impacts what our post-board game plan is gonna be like. Just with having Emrakul on the side, knowing that any of their just mill effects don't really bother us. We can let them resolve kind of anything that isn't an exile-based removal spell. So we're going to bring in Emeries. I think they're just good value if we have a lot of cards in the graveyard. Always nice to get some value out of that. Dismember for the crabs early. Elixir to find off Saga, very good at shuffling everything back in. The extra Pithing Needle for all of their Field of Ruin type effects, and Emrakul obviously just kind of going to be the main focus of our game plan game 2. And then we're able to take out Ensnaring Bridges. Shadow Spear isn't super relevant. Welding Jar, most of their removal will be things like bounce or counter magic. I don't really think Welding Jar is too key in this matchup. Cookbook and Soul Guide Lantern, again, we don't really care about their graveyard, and we don't really need to discard cards. You could technically play the Cookbook to if they go to Surgical and Emrakul, you can return it to your hand and then discard it or something like that, but we're gonna side it out here. So then on the draw for game 2, we start off with a few mulligans here. I think you could technically keep this hand just on the dismember, but really don't want to. This hand is a lot better. We'll drop the second counterspell, keep a dismember up for an early crab, and so go island into preordain. And I like to run out the Codex Shredder here. I could see an argument for holding up dismember, kind of anticipating a crab. However, we don't care as much about the crab, so I'd rather just get one piece down and then have counterspell plus whir on turn 3 for lantern, and the crabs we don't really care about. I second whir here is actually very important. You know, we'll be able to end step on their turn. Just use the whir to kind of facilitate the rest of the lock, where the first one can get lantern, the next one can get another Codex Shredder, and we're in pretty good shape here, I would say. Yeah, the one Emrakul in the sideboard, I think for the mill matchup is very worth it. Like, and here it's just the Hedron Crab. To be honest, we want to hold up the counterspell for a surgical extraction effect on Emrakul. We're not really too concerned with this targeted mill. I will say that with this version, you're mainly built around kind of using your counterspells on surgicals or like Tasha's exile effects. With more kind of Abzan or green-black builds, you want to use your hand disruption to target those, or something like Leyline. But then again, if you're playing that one Emrakul in the sideboard, just really helps this matchup. Like, and so yeah, we don't use Dismember here, and they just concede to the Emrakul. Obviously, we're completely winning here, and like the counterspell, we're gonna counterspell the surgical. Everything's gonna keep getting shuffled back in, and then at the end of their turn, like we can whir for lantern and then whir for Codex Shredder, and basically all we have to do for the rest of the game is keep them off of Tasha's Hideous Laughter and surgical extraction, which should be very easy to do, and we'll win quite easily. That's pretty short one here, but some people were asking about it as they saw the data entry from it. So I think the blue version is pretty favored against Mill. I would say much more so than other versions, where it just is able to interact with what Mill's doing. I think better than some of the other versions. But always nice to get a win here. Conceding to an Emrakul shuffle trigger is beautiful, and I'll see you tomorrow for a Lantern Mirror.